We have done so much in the amount of time that we got out of slavery, got out of Jim Crow. It hasn't been that long. It has not been that long, but we have done so much. We are a part of the political system. We have had a Black president. We now have a Black female vice president. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot more sweat, a lot more tears, a lot more effort from our people. But can we just at least congratulate ourselves for where we have gotten thus far in this amount of years? And to talk about not falling into this trap of believing that things are going to change. The one mistake they made when they did come here from Europe is they wrote down on paper that every man is created equal. Mm-hmm. They gave rights to every man. And at that time, of course, it didn't apply to us because we were 3/5 of a person. We were property. Mm-hmm. They take property over human lives, over our lives. So when they wrote that Constitution, of course, it was not for us. But guess what we're doing over this time? We're making it for us, whether they like it or not.
Fresh killer.
What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? So we are here in this space to talk about the elections of 2020, right? Like a lot of things happening that perhaps we did not see coming. People have different feelings about the results. It took a few days for the results to come in, but they are in, and we now have a new president-elect, Joe Biden, with Vice President Kamala Harris. And so, I want to ask, I want to start off with this. How responsible for the Biden win do people think that having Ms. Harris
on the ticket,
vice president, how much of a factor do people think that she contributed to the Democratic victory?
I think it was a winning factor. I think it was he had a choice between her and Susan Rice, which I thought that would have been I was happy that if he would have chosen Susan Rice, but I'm also happy that he chose Kamala Harris. He had several names on the list, but I think that Susan Rice and Kamala Harris were in the top two, and he chose Kamala Harris. And I think that whomever he had put on his ticket was going to carry him over as far as Black women were concerned. That's just my personal opinion. He wouldn't have won if it had been anyone else. Kamala was a good choice. I think Susan Rice, would have been a good choice as well. I don't think Susan Rice is as feisty as Kamala Harris.
Well, let me push back right there, because you said, Monica, that Kamala Harris helped to get the Black women vote, but Black women, by and large, always vote Democrat.
We do, because what is the choice? You're going to vote for a racist? Seriously? We make educated decisions based on how we have to take care of our families most of the time. We don't have time to sit around and say, well, it's got to be this or that.
Being a Black woman in government, in leadership, I really identify with her journey. I have followed Kamala since 2005. when she started doing the work that she was doing. And the reason why I was interested, because, you know, they don't advertise the good stuff that she did.
Right.
And there's always this discussion about, oh, she put all these different Black men in jail. Well, let's to be frank, the state of California put all those Black people in jail, all those Black men. And they did it before she was there, and they continue to do it afterwards.
Correct.
What Kamala would come and speak on is she would speak openly about that.
Right.
That, look, I'm just one Black face in a sea of white people. They have all types of things going on trying to unseat me. So what I can do is come to my community and say, this is how we're gonna stop brothers from coming. And when you get out, we're gonna help you with reentry. but people don't talk about that. And it's only because I watched her all these years, and of course, very proud she made it to the place that she's in through all that she had to go through, because I understand in government, we are just not represented. And it's with the lawmakers, we make sure all this stuff happens. But we as Black people need to get more engaged in that process, because that's where the process is. It's not going out here voting. I'm not saying not to vote, right, but we have to get in places where we can make impactful decisions, change, affect, and effect change. And that is government. And she went through a lot to get where she's at, but people don't see it. And it quite frankly makes somebody like myself not want to run for public office, because what are they going to highlight about me? And then, I mean, to be frank, my people, are you going to believe that? Or are you going to see the hard work that I have done to get where I need to get to and support me and push me forward? We see this very often with our people in this public space. I just say support them. Find out what's going on first. Don't read what's on the news, go and find out that person's true record, because you might be surprised to the work they have done, because they don't highlight us. We have other people steal our work. We have other people come forward and say, oh, I'm going to put this together for Black people and for other people. But it really was an idea that probably came from a Black woman. Right. So please, before we start to make these assessments of our own people, especially in public office, go and find out what's really going on. Hell, call them. I'm sure she would have talked to a lot of people, because there's so much being said about her that's untrue. Now the story is that she slept her way to the top.
Well, that's kind of true. I mean,
so that is not true. That is not true. She had a relationship with Willie Brown. She had a relationship with Willie Brown. And I'm going to tell you, this is how politics work. Everybody knows everybody.
Hold on, Shantae, just 1 second, Shantae.
So she went along with the same situation that was happening.
When a woman gets with a guy old enough to be her father, that is sleeping your way up to the top. Now, she's not the first one to do it, but she did do it. Now, I'll give her credit for the programs that she did in the community. I mean, by far. And here's another thing we need to stop doing. Stop saying it's only sisters vote Democrat. Brothers vote Democrat too. One of the things that our women need to stop doing, stop letting white people put a wedge between us.
Hallelujah.
We are on the same damn team.
So wait a minute, stop. What wedge has white people put between
every
Black
time you watch
and
every time I'll say because I want everyone to get you. Every time you turn on the news, they always talk about Black women are doing this, Black women are doing this. The reason why they're doing that, they've been trying to divide us since we got the boats here from Africa. And for some of us who came here 70,000 years ago with the indigenous Americans, we're all on the same team. But everywhere we go, they have always did that. And unfortunately, too many of our women buy into that BS. Let's be honest. When it comes to having your back, it's going to be the brothers more so than these white folks.
Okay.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that either.
I want to say something.
Then you're around the wrong brothers.
Hold on.
I want to say something.
So maybe so. That may be so.
But listen. But I think that
may be so.
He has a valid point. Oh, I wish I had a drink. Brothers have to be there for sisters too.
Exactly.
And we are.
What y'all
think we're y'all enemies?
Let her talk.
Let me finish. Let me finish, please. I think that brothers need to be there for sisters too. You saying that they're driving a wedge, but white people are driving a wedge, and we believe everything they say. Some of the facts are in our face that every time that, we hold you down, we work 2 jobs, put you through college, but as soon as you make it, quote unquote, you change the flavor.
Well,
you change the flavor, and it has nothing to do with anything else except you thinking that that's going to buy you more into the quote unquote men's club and break a ceiling, and that's not the case.
Can you explain that? Go in detail what you mean by change the flavor?
You know what do you really want me to go there?
Getting with a white woman.
Hold on, Monica, this is kind of ironic because Senator Harris changed the flavor, did she not?
She did.
Okay.
But see, in noticing her, and this is not something I really wanted to bring up because I don't want to be negative, I noticed something that really bothered me last night when I was listening to, was it last night? Yeah, her acceptance speech. And she gave a lot of props to her mom. She did. But she said nothing about her dad.
They don't get along.
Reason.
We don't matter.
I get that they don't get along, but he's the other half of the reason why she exists. Just in the face of God, you can't deny that.
I think I can speak on that because I have a mixed race child, and she's half Chinese and half Black. And because of she has her father, she loves her father, but at the same time, he's not around. And they have a kind of weird relationship. And she identifies more with Black than she does her Chinese side. So being mixed race, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different because you're holding to a different set of standards. And I know because I'm in the mixed race community, and I speak with a lot of mixed race children and parents to help that narrative, because you're straddling two lines. And she was mostly with her dad wasn't in the picture as much. So
no, I get it. He wasn't there. I get it. But that's what happens in divorced families. The child is going to identify with the parent that raised them. I get that. I'm a product of that. But I would never deny my daddy.
Roger, you know what's interesting? You got two women. Well, one that's in an interracial for Chinese and another one, but yet we get the perception that the bros are all chasing Becky. If you guys look at the stats or whatever, there's only 300,000 African Americans married to white women, and I can send you the link. It out of 1 billion plus males of African DNA, there's only 300,000. So that should tell you that these myths that you guys are believing is kind of sad. I'll tell you right now, I'll vote for Kamala, but I wouldn't consider her a sister. Like sometimes we gotta make a distinction between voting for people that are going to help us as opposed to those who are on the team. Because I'll tell you right now, some of these people that you guys cheer on, they're doing things a lot for their benefit as well. So you got to make a distinction between brothers and sisters. And just like you deal with white folks, you got to deal with not all skin folk or kin folk. So you got to deal with them on a certain level.
I like that.
But I don't trust Kamala as like I trust Maxine Waters. Those are two different people. One's a sister and one is a person who has ID.
But see, Maxine has a different upbringing. Maxine has a different upbringing, and her allegiance is very different as well. And I do understand what you're saying. I do.
Okay, real. All right. Well, hold on. I know. Michael, did you still you dropped in a comment that you wanted to? You dropped in the comments that you wanted to say something. You still want to?
Yeah, I just want to contextualize as far as why Kamala gets a lot of negative publicity, and rightfully so. When she was the DA, the lead DA in San Francisco, it wasn't just that, she perpetuated the system as is. Incarceration rights increased under her. There are lots of, yes, it did. There are lots of stories and experiences.
They did not.
They did.
Inaccurate information.
Hold on, Shantae. We're going to get to Mike, then Shantae next. Hold up.
There is a preponderance of evidence that shows that she gave Black men longer sentences. And when they appealed, yes, they did. They have documentaries of people coming out and speaking to this. When they appealed for their sentences, and a lot of these people after the fact actually got out. There's one particular brother I remember for sure in San Francisco. He was wrongly accused for murder. He wrote an appeal to her office and she never would hear him out. When she got out of office, somebody picked up his appeal and they found out that he actually did not commit the murder. There are several examples of this with Kamala Harris. I remember vividly what this sister represented. And the reason why her father, not getting too much into her personal life, her own father would say that she's full of shit, excuse my language. And so we need to, just like what the brother was alluding to, I think that as Black people, we are very gullible to seeing Black faces and thinking that they are friends, undermining the impact of being involved in politics. Keep in mind, when we talk about infiltration of our biggest movements, whether it's the Black Panther Party, the Nation of Islam, even going back to ancient and indigenous times, they use our own to infiltrate and to self-destruct our movements. We must get past their Black face and look at these people's policies and politics. Even if I give you that the incarceration rates did not increase under her administration, she perpetuated the system, and she really did nothing to address that whatsoever. I don't remember Kamala advocating in law or in the Senate or advocating against any of these things. She came to Laney in 2012 through 2013 when she was the lead DA still for San Francisco, or she might have just left the office. And she was making it seem like mass incarceration was this horrible thing. But once again, she was perpetuating the system as is. So I'm trying to figure out why are people so enamored or such in jubilee that we have two people in office who track records speak for themselves in terms of criminal justice, in terms of the destruction of black family, and who really were the advocates and pushers. For instance, Joe Biden's 94 crime bill, which, before we recognized and realized what was happening, it was too late. Now he's the president, and somehow people think that this time around is going to be different. As the great James Baldwin would say, I cannot believe what you say because I see what you do. Forget what these people say in speeches and commemoration. Let's look at their politics, their policies, and their laws.
Shantae, did you want to speak to any of that at this moment, or do you?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Shantae.
Now, I go to this, and I was touching on it before. Black folks in the political arena, it's hard. Now, Kamala chose a different way. In my work, I see Black politicians, and you see that the path that they choose. What I say to you is, before you look at her record, look at the record behind California as a state, in particular the Bay Area, prior to her coming in, and then after she left. You will see there is a pattern. Now, when in areas like this, it is very hard to push through for African-American things, everything we need. I'm just going to tell you, they'll push through everybody else. But as soon as we begin to talk about helping our people, that is when their problem starts. So many times we have to do things in secret. So you're not going to hear about what Kamala did. It's not written down about what Kamala did. And I ask people to think about that. Think about what she, as a Black woman, because that's how the world looks at her, no matter how you want to dissect her. Mm-hmm. Think about the process she had to go through to get to where she's at now. And then Kamala is Kamala. I don't understand where we got to come in and we can't be the different Black folks that we are. I'm a different Black folk than the next person. And so it's just about what I do. And unfortunately, I think there needs to be more research around what actually happened while she was in Alameda County, while she was in San Francisco, while she was running for the state. And then when she became a senator, because there's a lot of history there. So look at her as a whole, and not just the piece that we keep getting slid to. Because I just want to say, Black folks that are politicians have it hard. And it's hard to serve our people because we ourselves, we put us up to the standard that you don't even put white folks up to. Right. Anybody else, the people that are controlling. That's true. You don't even hold them accountable, but you will hold us accountable. And I can say for myself, I tried my best to do what I could do, but I know I get shut down. And I'm in leadership. They close the door. Sometimes won't even invite me back to the table because of what I've said. And you don't want to not be at the table. It's a balance. And I think we need to try to support our people more. We need to come up with some type of program so we can start getting our people ready to be in politics and support them instead of shunning them while they're in their current roles. We need to come up with some more groups. We on here talking. Can we come up with a group that helps support Black politicians?
Shantae, if you need some support, call me.
Hold up. Okay, for sure. Much love. We have Johnny Johnson. Yes, sir.
All right. So now I got a couple things to address. All right. So we started off talking about the wedge between the African-American male and female. And right away, people went into denial. I heard Biden, as many other candidates over the last few elections, say congratulate the Black woman on their support for getting them in office. And then a lot of Black women felt the pride from that, like, yeah, we have, but when you accept that, congratulations, what you're saying, you're allowing them to drive that wedge. And that has been happening for quite a few years. So if we are a community is made up of male and female. So can anybody come and say, I give the Black woman credit for giving me the victory in this election? No, the Black community gave you the victory in that election. Then the other thing, we talked about the prosecutor, okay? Here's the thing, here's what I've been observing for years. We're talking about, what we gotta let people be who they are professionally and understand that the position they're in. Let's think about our community and stop thinking about them, because in many cases, it's the rich against the poor. And in many of those cases, it's the politicians helping the rich. So we have to be very smart about our support and how we, distribute our support. I suggest that we not even support a prosecutor running for office because it's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
So because when you look at it, it's the honest to God truth that prosecutors, in order to get ahead, they got to have total disregard for your rights. If they, like you was just saying, Shantae, if they are constantly standing up, they look at the case and they say, like, this evidence don't support this case. And if they stand on that, their career is going to be hurt. So I say, to prevent a conflict of interest, Mayor Lightfoot is a prosecutor.
In Chicago, yep.
Yeah. So it's a conflict of interest. Don't vote for no prosecutors because they get ahead by screwing you into the ground.
I respect that. I definitely see where everyone is coming from. But with that being said, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they won. They are president and vice president respectively. And, we can't go back retroactively and change that. And so with that being said, to get to the meat of this conversation, how do people feel? Do people feel like this ticket, this president and this vice president, in what ways do people feel like they will directly benefit the African-American community? Or do people feel like they will directly benefit the African-American community?
Well, with all the knowledge that we have, for me personally, for all the knowledge that I have about both candidates, it's a wait and see situation. Okay. Just like we prayed through the last week to get the result because Trump was the evil that had to be removed. We prayed that out. So now we need to see what's going to happen. Yesterday, Biden spoke twice about, God, putting God in it and God moving forward and all these things. So I'm very interested to see if his actions are going to have God alliance. So that's where I stand on it.
Okay, we voted, and when I say we, I mean that as African Americans, we voted for the Democratic ticket. We voted, the people who we voted for are now, they won, right? And so I'm just wondering, like, how much faith do people have that the people who we voted for are going to directly benefit us? Do people have any faith in that? Are people inspired by that? Because people were celebrating, people were dancing in the streets, people are very excited, right? And we got rid of that evil that is Donald Trump. And so now that we have, how are people feeling about it? And I know Zandy said before, he's not as excited as he thought he would be. And I'm wondering, is that tied into perhaps some anxiety associated with, where did that come from? You saying you're not excited as you thought you would be?
Well, so here's the deal. Just before Kamala Harris announced that she was going to run for president, she did an event in San Francisco with Mayor Breed, and the crowd was pumped. And then a few days later, right, she did the rally in Oakland, and we had this huge turnout for her. and there was a lot of excitement, right?
Mhm.
So it looked like, and so if you had told me then that she would be vice president, I would have told you, I would have been ecstatic. I would have been very happy. I would have been very satisfied. But the thing that really got me was seeing those election totals and how close that race was.
Mhm.
Because during the George Floyd protests, we had all these multiracial crowds that were protesting. There was supposed to be all this, okay, we're going to change things. We're tired of this. We support you. We got your back. Black Lives Matter. That's what we were told. And then when it came to the ballot box, and as somebody mentioned, like the poor whites, for example, they're saying, I'm not going to vote for. I'm going to vote for the racists. I'm going to vote for my racists. And seeing that total where it's almost 50-50, and how many people this man has been responsible for over 250,000 lives lost, and he's an obvious racist, white supremacist, and they're like, well, I don't
vote for him anyway.
I'm not voting for him anyway. So that's why I just throw my hands up.
Roger.
Don't throw your hands up. Just be advised that, we live in America was built on racial injustice, period. They went overseas. They brought our forefathers over here in captivity. There is blood on the soil. That's, and until that is really dealt with, we're going to keep having these issues. Okay. We're going to keep having these issues until the sins are dealt with. You cannot expect good to come out of evil unless you eradicate the evil.
Okay, for sure. I see Mr. Hunt, hold on. Mr. Hunt, he's at the bottom of my screen. He's had his hand up for a while. Yes, sir. The stage is yours.
One of the things I want to suggest is that as we've seen for many years, we have to get over symbolism versus substance. And the symbolism we've seen even in the prior situation with Obama, that we have had a lot of symbolism but very little substance. So without getting too much into the weeds on that statement, in order for us to move forward with this elected team of Harris Biden, we need a Black agenda.
Okay.
And without a roadmap leading to where we need to go, I think we're just going to hope and a prayer. So a lot of individuals on a variety of levels got very upset. I was not one of them, with Ice Cube, for example, coming out with his contract with Black America. No matter what people think about Ice Cube, at least he came out and currently has a plan. So I think we need to look for an agenda or embrace an agenda. I would suggest looking at Ice Cube's contract with Black America as a starting point. And we can take that, customize it, present it as a group, as a race of people to Biden Harris. So this is our starting point. What do you feel about that? How will you implement any portion of it as a starting point?
Okay, and they did say, the Democratic Party did say, they asked him to wait until after the election, and now they have won. So maybe they will sit down and talk to Mr. Cube. Yes, Kenneth, sir.
Okay, the reason why our people are disappointed, because they've been here for many years, but haven't learned how the system works. You gotta, as far as Obama, I don't blame Obama. I blame our shiftless, lazy mentality. Listen, folks, it takes a Senate, a Congress, your governor, your mayor to work together. I live in a city that's 60% African-American. We had a Haitian brother and a Cape Verdean run for mayor, and they didn't show up. We had a Cape Verdean run for the state. They didn't show up. And then they're like, it's Obama's fault. It's our fault.
What city is this, Kenneth?
Brockton, Massachusetts.
Okay.
We're right next to Boston. The problem with our people is, if people don't see you take initiative for yourself, why would they want to help you? No disrespect to Mr. Hunt, but back in the days, our people voted in huge numbers. It has dropped off. Now, before, they didn't do much for us. Now that I think there's more opportunity, they need us to go to the poll. People say the gay people get what they want. You know why? They show up. They donate. You look at our folks, If these say we're having a meeting, you can look around and there's about 20 folks. But let it be a rap concert or giving out Gucci, I got 10,000 ninjas in there. So our biggest enemy is ourselves. Like if we would do this as a people, if we would show up to the voting poll about 90%, then we can complain about the system. But Obama said it best, and I usually don't like that guy. You can't show up 40 and 50% and then complain. And I always tell people, if you don't vote, shut up. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear a peep out of you. I got people in my family. If you don't vote, I don't want to hear any problems. Not a damn thing. I will hang up on this phone. If you vote, then we can talk. But if you don't vote, we have an issue. Another thing to the system about our people coming over here in slave ships. One thing about not direct to you, but in general, we have a lot of people who have a lot of college degrees and go by what the white folks tell you. The fact is this, we were migrating out of Africa before the slave ships came. So the Native Americans and indigenous people, those were Africans. They just like to make up these bullshit words, but they were Africans. If you got pyramids in your country, that's our trademark. If your hair's curly, our trademark. So one thing why I hate these words is because Europeans have been trying to divide the African race ever since the last 1,000 years. And that's why we're conquered. If Latinos and all these groups would understand we had come from the same place, do a DNA test, and became a one unit, we would be like the Jewish people. The reason why they're powerful, no matter where they're at, they're Jewish first. We need to have the same mindset. Now, I said not all kinfolk are skinfolk. That is true. But if you have my DNA and you share my agenda, we should be united. That's how we win. And no disrespect to your sister, but all this praying to all the Buddha and Jesus hasn't did shit for us. Policies, money is power. It worked for the Jewish people, it worked for us.
Okay.
Can I just give you a clap out to that on Kenneth? I think ultimately that has been what I've been trying to say on this phone on Zoom. I see it too often. I work in government and I see all these other groups, they do everything for
they show up.
Yes, we need to do that, y'all. How do we organize around that Black agenda? Because I'm going to tell you, they ain't going to do nothing for you unless you present something.
Tie it to the benefits. You said we're going to cut your welfare, your Section 8, unless you vote. I guarantee right now we'll have 90% of our people at the voting poll in the midterms. But when our people are getting benefits and not do that, and that's what kills me about our folks. Like, you can get so much more. Why be satisfied with the crumbs? And then you want to play racism. Racism is 20% of our problem, but our biggest problem is our fear of success.
Well, let me say this, as far as change happens in the street. If we can organize our people to, let's say, own the businesses in our communities, to own the things in our communities, then if we are powerful, somebody's powerful in the street, then why would they feel obligated to invest that power in some politician if they can do it without them?
Policies are made by politicians, brother. Again, we got to learn how the system works. Every rich white person donates to politicians because they understand policy is what makes it.
They say that Asians are the lowest voting demographic, yet they control the businesses in their communities and we don't.
That's bullshit. I don't know who's coming up with those numbers, but when you go to Chinatown, that place is packed and they donate. You can look at the last names of the donations.
Yeah, donate, yes. I'm pushing back against the narrative that if someone doesn't vote, then they don't have a voice in the way that things go, the way a lot of Black Americans don't vote. That doesn't mean that they don't have the power to impact change.
Well, you said it, Asians, they give money and they know that white people love money. And so with money, you get power. And
they usually align with white people. If you think about their voting,
because they know. To vote. Yeah, they know that if they go the white way, it's going to be their way.
Let me pivot a little bit to the actual election. What was most surprising to people about the election? Because a few states voted Democrat that haven't voted in a long time. What of those states, which one was the most shocking to people? I'm just curious.
Florida's not a surprise, bro. Right. They pushed that socialism agenda to those Cubans, and they fell for it.
But that's what I'm saying. They should have won Florida, and aside from that, they would have won Florida. So I know that Florida is not part of the U.S. I mean, they.
Why did he say it's not part of the U.S.?
The population
I know
is
that
very
fickle, and they got some issues down there. I think
it is a backward state.
Biden would have won Florida, but they ran a good game, which and this is what we're speaking to. They got a game for every demographic, which Mr. Hunt was speaking to earlier. They always got this style rather than substance. They always selling you something that ain't substantial. So they went down there and told the Latinos that, Biden is a communist and all of this. It was like, oh, but when you look at it, they do this to all demographics. This is why poor white people continue to vote Republican.
Republicans know how to sell the message. You ain't lying. It might be bullshit, but they'll sell it.
Right. It's not. It doesn't help them to vote Republican, but they keep doing it because they keep buying whatever they're selling. They keep selling them that the black man gonna replace you if you don't vote for us. So they come up with different, superficial reasons for us to support this candidate and that candidate that may not have our best interests in heart.
Okay. But that's our fault as the Democratic Party, Roger. We don't pick the right candidates. Even my state, it's a blue state, but we always put the most suckiest candidates and we wonder why we lose. The Democratic Party, they don't know how to talk to regular people. What they need to do is hire some regular blue-collar working folks and let us pick the candidates. Because I'll tell you right now, if Ayanna runs for governor, she can win. We need to put our best talent. The Republicans, no matter how jacked up their agenda is, they put the best people to win. And that's why 27 state legislative states are red. And you look at who they get.
Who is Ayanna, Kenneth? Who is Ayanna?
Ayanna Pressley is the African-American congresswoman from my state.
Okay.
But the next election, Massachusetts, if Charlie gets into Biden's cabinet, because Biden's going to play this moderate game because he has to play because of the way the Senate looks. If Charlie leaves, Ayanna needs to be pushed around. And that's another thing we need to do. Republicans don't tell you might run. They're like, you're running here. We need to start doing the same thing. Like Stacey Abrams, I love her to death, but she should run for senator. If she doesn't get a cabinet, she needs to run for senator again.
Let me stop right there. That I want to talk about Stacey Abrams in Georgia. And that was personally, I thought Georgia voting Democrat was very shocking. And they say that it was largely due to the work that Stacey Abrams was doing on the ground. And I was wondering how people felt about that. It's the first Southern state, period, to vote Democrat in a long time. And I thought
I was
shocked.
Well,
I didn't see
we need to bring her to Texas because Texas almost flipped.
Really?
Yeah, it was close.
It was. I think that we lost it by 5%.
Mm-hmm.
It was within 5. But you know why we can't win the residents? Go ahead, Monica.
Hold on. Go ahead, Monica.
No, I was just saying we need Stacey Abrams. We need her formula here in Texas because Houston itself could turn the state of Texas blue because Houston is the size of Rhode Island. And they have a black mayor. They have 12 appellate judges that are black women on the court. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it could happen. It could just really happen. Georgia was exciting. To answer your question. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was exciting to watch. Okay. It was exciting to watch because that means that the conversation and the mentalities have been they've evolved. Don't do that. Don't do that. But yes,
Sandra. Go ahead, Monica, and then Sandra will be next. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm babysitting you guys. I apologize.
Yeah, we appreciate the mothering. We appreciate listening on that.
But that was a surprise, and it was an awesome surprise to see Georgia turn blue. It really was, and hopefully that was an awakening for the nation to see that with hard work and diligence, we could the America could be blue.
I heard that. All right, for sure. So let's go to Sandra. Sandra had her hand up. Yes, Sandra.
One was I wasn't very excited about the outcome of the race either, and I wasn't excited because of the ratio of people who actually still voted for Big Orange. So that says that the work is not done. We all know that if we want to keep the country that we want. We have to change the way we do things and work really hard for that. And also, I wanted to throw out there that I've been in discussion with other people that we might want to consider dropping our party preference and perhaps going no party preference, and then building Black voting blocks in order to organize and push forth an agenda. And I'm okay starting with whoever Black agenda, whoever's got one that's already working. Why reinvent the wheel? We can just modify what people have already put together. Because yes, everybody, all politicians have their history and who they are, but it's really about what we choose to do now and not what they have done in the past. That's what's going to make the future. So I'm putting that out there about people thinking about whether or not they want to change to no. In California here, we can go for no party preference. Then you can just decide, pick a party when you want to vote for certain things or whatever. But I still need to do some more research on that too, but I want to put that out there. And I want to say that it is my opinion that sisters accepting the praise that we did do a lot to make this guy president should not be seen as a acceptance that the brothers did nothing. That's what I want to say, because that's not true. So I want it to be seen that way. We do realize that the brothers did, and the brothers on TV reminding us of that. So, and that's fantastic, and reminding the world of that. So I'm glad. That's great, because the only way we're gonna overcome this crap is to move forward together. And so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Let me respond to that.
Mabinti, hold on. Thank you so much. We have Mabinti. We have not heard her voice yet. Yes, ma'am. The stage is yours.
So I have so much that I want to respond to, but I'll just try to go through everything quickly. But what she was saying about just accepting the praise from people that Black women did actually put Biden and Harris in office is not necessarily drawing a wedge in between Black women and Black men.
Hold on. Let her speak. Go ahead.
That's your opinion. But I think too many times Black women are not recognized for the work that we do. We're not recognized for how we hold up different groups and help them to get into the positions that they are. And when somebody finally says it on a broad stage, I think it's okay to accept it. Because had it not been for Stacey Abrams or some of the Black women that are in Kamala's camp, they would not be where they're at. So I accept that praise, and I walk proudly today because of that praise, and I'm grateful for it. And it's the same thing when we say Black Lives Matter, doesn't mean your life, means less. Same thing with Black women and men. Just because they praising us doesn't mean that's something against you. So prop up your Black woman and say, you're right. She did that and she did it well. And we had her back, bottom line. As far as Stacey Abrams, we have so much to thank Stacey Abrams for, because between, she accepted her loss, which I don't think was a true loss for her. You can't have your opponent also be the judge or be the person that's in charge of the race to decide that they're the ones that won. I don't know. Voting machines all of a sudden stopped working and all of that. No, I think she actually won that race, but she had to go and accept the loss, go back and plot.
She didn't accept it, sister.
Hold on. Let her speak. Go ahead.
Plot about how she's going to make a difference going forward since 2018. And they have actually brought on so many hundreds of thousands of voters since then. And she worked. She did that. And I give her props for that. And the Democratic Party also needs to give her props. And I'm pretty sure that she's going to be running for governor in 2022. And we will be there, to support her as well. And just going back to your question about how do we personally feel about the Biden Harris win, and do we feel like they're going to have our backs and all that other stuff? I don't necessarily put it on them. The thing is, are we going to hold them accountable for the things that we put them in office to do? Yep. If we do our part and push for it then we will make sure that they do their part. So it's not necessarily, I'm gonna drop the ball, I did what I had to do, now I'm gonna wait to see what you do. No, anybody, it doesn't matter whether they Black, doesn't matter whether they promised us anything, anybody that you put into a position of power, you have to come back, do a follow-up to make sure that they are in there doing what you asked them to do. Bottom line, it's not like we sit here and wait and then we go judge you for whether you got it done or not. Hell no. That's not, it's on us. It's on us. And in Georgia, we're not finished. We still have 2 runoffs to try to get those 2 Democratic candidates into the Senate. So if you know anybody in Georgia, let them know they have up until December the 7th to register. If they have kids that are going to be 18 before January 5th, they can take part in this runoff election. They can vote early, starting December 14th, all the way up to January 5th. You can move to Atlanta and go ahead and register and get, seriously, and get those people in office, because we don't want to have another roadblock like they did for Obama. Yes, obstructing everything that we do and everything, and not allowing anything to go through. We have to have, if those 2 get into the Senate, there'll be a 50-50 split, and it'll be up to Kamala to end that, to vote democratically to pass whatever it is that they need to pass. But we need to make sure that those down ballot tickets are there to support the agenda that we're asking these Democratic people in office to do, because they can't do it alone. They're not the only people in that office. You got Congress there. That's why a lot of stuff couldn't get done, when Obama was in office. And going back to where the brother who was wrongfully convicted, and he wrote letters and everything like that, and they did not overturn his case. He had to get some other people to fight for him to get that overturned. He did an interview where he recognized that Kamala is not the only person in that office. Yes, she was the head, but she's not the only person in that office. She doesn't prosecute every single case that comes to that office. Going to what that sister was talking about, look at the state, look at the history. He recognized that although I was innocent and I do hold her accountable, I still am going to vote for her, because I recognize it was not just her there. And we as Black people, come on, we all know when you get a little bit of power, they will not allow you to run the whole show. There's people in there that help them get this stuff done. So we can't always just blame the one Black person in that office. We have to push them just like we push any other candidate to fight for what we want them to fight for, and then hold that particular person accountable. Not the entire Black race, not the entire Black leadership. Hold that person accountable. I'm done.
Thank you.
Tarzan, you were on point. You're on point.
I agree with some of the things that the sister just shared. But I think even what Shantae was saying earlier, that makes my overall point. I think it undermines the energy or trying to really advocate for people to get behind these politicians, already knowing that their hands will be tied once they get in. We can sit here all day. We know that regardless on who's in the White House, America's going to be American. I think that's what we keep forgetting here, that's getting lost, that this is America. And we did all the voting things in the 60s and the 70s with the civil rights laws. All we did was see the system morph or evolve with the times, meaning that it found new ways to disguise its true intentions. So we went from enslavement to Jim Crow. We went from Jim Crow to mass incarceration. There's a significant pattern of cycles that is occurring over and over and over. So going back to what Roger was saying, a people who has been disenfranchised since the inception, or since this thing called America has been in existence, to then try to say or to blame people or pathologize the behavior in terms of them feeling disenfranchised, knowing that they are disenfranchised, advocating for them to assimilate into a system in which their hands will be tied and you again, even using the Obama analogy or the Obama as an example, if that's what it means to be a Black president in this country, then why would a Black person want to strive to be that if you can do absolutely nothing for your people? It makes no sense. Over and over and over and over and over again. How long before Black people just wake up and realize that the system is always going to be what the system was? The system is working. This is what it was inherently designed and set up to do. So it is a delusional state. Reality, the basis of reality is to see things as they are. And people want to hold on to this illusionary reality that you can make this work. I don't want to talk about ideals, theories. What is the evidence? What is the factual, concrete, tangible evidence of this country's history and track record? Politicians essentially have done nothing. There's only a brief, small moment in this history in terms of when people can turn to government and say that it has worked. That was a very brief moment called Reconstruction. It lasted for about 20 years or so. So Black people set up these communities, Black Wall Street, Rosewood, you name it. We had it. It was nationwide. What did white people come and do? They burnt it to the ground. So essentially, again, how long before you wake up? It's not about you're trying to continuously do the same thing over and you're getting the same results. That's insanity. It makes no sense. And somebody said earlier, when you strive for crumbs, you get crumbs. All I hear out of this conversation is Black people trying to assimilate and integrate. Why are we not talking about ownership? Why are we not talking about building and making our own and leaving a legacy? You're trying to assimilate into a system that has denied you for over 400 years. Whether it's a Black person in office, whether it's white, Mexican, it does not matter. I don't want to hear people's ideals and theories. Let's talk about the evidence. You can save all that mythological stuff for the birds. Let's talk about the evidence of this country. The evidence.
Okay, so go ahead, Mabinti, you may respond to that.
I just want to say, I actually agree with you. But then I want our people to do one thing. I want our people to actually step back and give ourselves credit. For 400 years, they have done nothing but destroy us, kill us, rape us, do everything in their power to get rid of us. There is something that they are afraid of in us, and it's been evident since they went and stole us from our land. So I agree with you that this nation was built on racism. It was built on the blood and the lies that they put on us. It was built on some nonsense. Even they left Europe to escape their own slavery just to come here and start slavery over in a different form. Instead of going according to races or, whatever group they belong to, Italians or Irish or whatever, they came here and they did it according to race. I don't want us, if we have gone through this for 400 years, how many years do you think it's going to take to flip this and get out of it? We have done so much in the amount of time that we got out of slavery, got out of Jim Crow. It hasn't been that long. It has not been that long, but we have done so much. We are part of the political system. We have had a Black president, which I know for some people doesn't account for much, but from where we came from, that's a lot. We now have a Black female vice president. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot more sweat, a lot more tears, a lot more effort from our people. But can we just at least congratulate ourselves for where we have gotten thus far in this amount of years? And to talk about not falling into this trap of believing that things are going to change. The one mistake they made when they did come here from Europe is they wrote down on paper that every man is created equal. They gave rights to every man. And at that time, of course, it didn't apply to us because we were 3/5 of a person. We were property. They take property over human lives, over our lives. So when they wrote that Constitution, of course, it was not for us. But guess what we're doing over this time? We're making it for us, whether they like it or not. So that's the struggle that we go through on a daily basis. don't throw your hands up in the air or say, oh, y'all doing that for nothing, or why you wasting your time, because it's not a waste of time.
Real quick, sister, I'm not advocating or saying I'm throwing my hands up. I'm good. I know where I'm at with this. I'm saying that going through it about it in a systematic way, trying to change the system from within, has proven that it will not work. That's why I say,
we
why
never tried it yet.
We have tried.
Hold on. Beautiful.
If we go about it, not united.
We have a whole black caucus, right?
Hold on. I feel like Michael and Mabinti, you guys both illustrated your points phenomenally well. And so now I know that we have Shantae. She's had her hand up for a real long time. And then we're going to go to Johnny, who's also had his hand up for a long time. I respect the debate. It's very stimulating. Respect. Yes, Shantae.
So I just wanted to dip back into that, sisters versus brothers situation, because, I find it very painful because, Black men, I love y'all. I don't know if anybody's ever said it, or if you don't hear it enough, I'm going to say, I love y'all. And for the 46 years I've been on this earth,
we love you too.
Thank you. I have been supported by the Black men in my life. Truly supported. And I, in turn, as a Black woman, I'm going to support my brothers. Secretly or in front of people. That's just the way I live my life. And I choose to do that because I know we need to come together. We are not going to make it through any of this being divided. We are not going to make it through any of this trying to have different agendas or saying, who's in front of who or what. I just, brothers and sisters, when y'all encounter each other, give us a break sometimes, because we all have our own road that we have to cross, and the cross that we have to bear on our backs. And it has a lot of trauma. It has a lot of pain. And what we don't need to do is gear that towards each other. We have to make sure that in this fight, we work together. It's nation building time. We have to build, and we're not going to do this fighting each other. We can have our difference of opinions because we're males, females, different people. And I think we should let it be at that, but not necessarily focus on what the world has set up for us to fight each other, because it is a narrative, right? We need to break that narrative and make sure that we're talking to each other. We need to really talk and listen. So I love y'all brothers. I love y'all sisters too, because y'all show up. We all show up, but we just need to love each other more. This is too much trauma for us to be fighting each other. And we need to stop that. We need to heal. Forget America. We need to heal because we need to take care of our people. So,
well said.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, Johnny, it's on you, Johnny.
So I love you all sisters, and I definitely love my brothers, because we need that love. We need that that empathy for one another. Now, I've got to reinforce a couple points that I've made, and going back. So you're saying that you listen to us, you support us. If you support us, then you will hear us. But we've been expressing our feelings here, and it took some courage to do that. It took some courage to come over here and say, the white man, and I'm gonna put it just like that, is saying, oh, congratulations, sister, you put me in office. And you all are gravitating to that. So when you accepting that praise and you're allowing that wedge, all right? And if you support us, never let that happen, because you will recognize that we are community, which takes both male and female. So, if we are a community, you don't take their word over my word. You don't let them come in and say, oh, thus and so, and I'm telling you that bothers me. And you're like, oh, I'm going with what he said. Then that's not community.
Okay.
Well, Johnny, if you had gone into Georgia and registered 800,000 voters, I would say what whoop whoop. There you go, Johnny. That's what I'm saying. I think we're recognizing the person, not necessarily the
personal. That was a specific credit for that.
Johnny, hold on, bro. Hold on. I got you, brother. I got you. So what you said is absolutely on the record. And then we had people with different opinions. Some people said, respect to the brothers. I love brothers. We got to work together. Other sisters said something to, whereas like, okay, we did it and take my shine, whatever. Like there are different opinions out there, and you express yours, and everybody had time to express their opinions, and it's on the record. And we like straight up respect that. Shout out to my East Coast people for staying up super late. But and then I'm gonna end the call. Yes, sir, Mr. Hunt, sir.
All right. I want to say I love everybody on this call, and I want to thank you, brother Porter, for hosting this, and I hope you put more of these together and more frequently.
Follow Aqua Black Tribe on YouTube. Give me your email if you want to be on the email list.
All right, we'll do.
Thanks for the alley-oop. Go ahead.
We'll do. Well, I'm out here in Oakland, and I run into Sister Harris fairly frequently in the Bay Area, and I've known her for many years, not supporting many of the issues that she embraced when she was a DA over in San Francisco, as a DA there, and also as the Attorney General in California. There's a lot of issues that were touched on tonight, but I think we have to start somewhere. We're facing the reality that we're facing right now of a very horrific situation for Black folks all across the country. I would suggest that we take a look at what I stated earlier, an agenda. We have all these concerns that we want to bring forward, but we have to have an agenda, a roadmap to present to anyone. And I would suggest that we look at something that we could embrace it collectively. Secondly, I would like to suggest that reparations should be something that's front and center. That's a very significant starting point that we could put forward to Biden and Harris today, because there's HB 1140, I believe that's the one, that's the House bill that Barbara Lee and the Congress lady from Texas and others have put up, that's on the table right now. So we can start somewhere collectively and reach out to Biden and Harris. This is the first 100 days of your administration. Let's take a strong look at reparations. Do you support reparations, and how will you push that forward as part of your agenda? And if they don't embrace that, then we'll know that they're not for real.
Republican Senate.
Hold up.
It doesn't matter.
Wrap the thing on up.
In the Senate, we have to bring forward issues. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. We have to bring forward something to these folks. Whether or not it's rejected by the Senate or whatever, that's irrelevant. We have to hold these folks that we put in office, Harris and Biden, accountable to something. Now, I really think it's very disappointing to fall into the Willie Lynch syndrome, where we're pitting Black men against Black women, and we fall into that Willie Lynch trap, which I believe we need to really get over that, because that's exactly what we've been dealing with for over 200 plus years. So it's great that, we have to support each other as a community, a Black community. And it's irrelevant how many Black women or Black men voted for whomever. We're a community. We are Black people. And I totally get what we've talked about tonight, but we have to start somewhere. And the Willie Lynch syndrome is something we need to throw out the window. And Brother Porter, please continue this discussion. Thank you very much.
No, much love and respect. I think that is the perfect place to end on a note of love. And I appreciate all the perspective. I appreciate all the energy. I appreciate everybody just being honest and forthright. Much respect to everybody in the building. See you guys soon, man. Peace and love.